Now, I know what you're thinking. Why is this Megathron Navy purple? Well, I asked myself the same question, but this is my CEO's ship, basically my corp boss, so I better not make too many jokes about the color options on this nanocore that he is using. So, this is the Megathron Navy issue, one of the new ships that have been added in the game. Now, this ship does remind me on the Kronos a lot in terms of its tank. So, let's take a look at the ship trait description. Now, the raw bonus is about, I would say, the same as the raw bonus with the other Navy ships. It has a plus 10% large recon activation time bonus, which, is pretty nice. A damage roll bonus as well. The Megathron Navy does require expert skills, basically the same requirement as with the previous two Navy ships, and it should have some pretty good DPS. Now, the blasters, railguns, are known to have the highest DPS out of the weapon system that we have, but their drawback is the fact that they have very short range, at least with the blasters. So the railguns have a very nice range, but very poor tracking. 7 high slots, which should allow for some very nice DPS. For medium slots, 6 low slots, 3 combat, and 3 engineering rigs. Now, the tank on this thing is going to be absolutely insane. Just look at those stats. Primarily a armor tank, although technically can also work as a passive shield tank for PvP. The capacitor is really good, can lock 8 targets. The Megathron Navy is definitely on the slower side, but its speed is not going to be a problem. After all, this thing is a monster tank. This thing is, I believe, the second tankiest Navy ship in the game. Now, my DPS is going to be a little bit lower because of my skills, but this ship is integrated for tank, and I am not allowed to change the rigs. After all, they are quite expensive, so I don't want to make my boss angry. But the DPS with the Megathron Navy should be really good if you have proper skills for it. Triple adaptives, dual armor pairs, and 1 damage roll. This is the build that my friend and boss is using. The nanocore, well, you have a lot of options for the Megathron. My friend and boss is using the Serpentis Recruit Core, which honestly is a pretty good decision, does give you some very nice stats, but if you already have a nanocore for your Megathron, then you can basically use that one easily. Even the upgrade core should work really well. After all, this is compatible with basically all the other previous Megathron nanocores, which I think is a very nice thing, and you have a lot of nanocores to choose from. If you don't want to spend much money on nanocores, the Concord Pass nanocore is definitely good. The blue ones are also very good. I love how the ship looks with the blue nanocore. It looks absolutely amazing, and the green ones are also very nice as well. So you have a lot of options for the nanocore. Now the rigs are integrated rigs for tank, basically maximum repair and maximum resistance. Overall, I really do like how this setup looks, and when I get my hands on this ship on the test server, I'll definitely go wild on the tank and DPS. Here you can take a look at the base resistance: 76, 76, 77 and 67. Again, fantastic stats for a very, I would say, well, not exactly a very cheap rig setup, but not exactly too expensive. It's very decent in terms of how much it costs and how much performance you can get out of it. So let me show you the maximum. Let me show you the active stats of the ship. Now for the implant, we have the thermal circulation and you have the high particle. In my case here, I have the thermal circulation, and I would say that's definitely one of the better implants for this ship. If you want tank, of course, will work really well, but the high particle is there if you want to do a DPS build, a PvP DPS build with the Megathron Navy. I will show you how that works when I get my hands on this ship on the test server. I have a lot more plans for them. 454,000 hit points, 90, 90, 90 and 86%. Absolutely mental how tanky this thing is. I mean, thermocirculation implant on top of ridiculously high base resistance, and we also get some very nice integrations, and we also get some very nice adaptives. 1.2 million hit points when the damage control is active, which lasts for about 23 seconds, and again, this is absolutely insane. Absolutely mental tank for how little it actually costs. Again, it's not too expensive to get a build like this, but at the same time it's not too cheap. It's right there in the middle, and I definitely know how to make something ridiculously expensive with some ridiculous stats, and that's basically what I will do when I get my hands on this ship on the test server, because it's still not updated for some reason. And the siege mode should be quite interesting. Of course, the siege mode is going to be mostly used against stationary targets, big targets and stations. Anything that's moving quite fast is going to be a bit problematic to hit, so you have to be careful to have enough webs, and of course you have to be careful not to let some certain ships get too close to you. So that's basically the idea behind a ship like this. Let me change the build one more time. You can technically do something like this, a active armor tank with only one armor repair, with three adaptives, one reactive and one damage control. The thing with this build is to have ridiculously high stats. I mean, I already said that the tank on these things is absolutely mental already multiple times, so you can expand that tank even more with a reactive. It does help against lasers, against railguns and against drones. However, I don't really like to use one armor repair. Usually 2 of them is the sweet spot, but the tank is looking pretty good. 91, 91, 91 and 88, and you have the damage control as well, which will give you 1.3 million hit points and 97, 97, 97 and 96% resistance. Perfect. This is a brick, and I love it. Well, my friend definitely has some very nice ideas. And I like the
docking request accepted.
I like this build so far. I like the integrations and tank on this. It's really good. Okay, now let me change the modules again. So you can technically add armor plates if you like, but for armor plates, I would say have a logistic ship in your team. They do help a lot at recovering the armor. After all, you can't really recover passively the armor if it's damaged. You have to repair it. So that's one of the disadvantages of passive armor tracking, but technically it can work really well. And you can also do something like this, full-on passive tank. Again, a build like this should work really well when you have a logistic ship at your side. I mean, it should be nearly immortal. If you have a logistic at your side, a ship like this is almost immortal. It will be ridiculously hard to go through the tank of something as tanky as this. And you also have the damage control, which lasts 23 seconds. Basically gives you enough time to literally be fully repaired. And by the time you hit low armor again, the damage control will get back in action. A DPS PvP build is something like this, basically the classic setup that I run on most of my ships. However, the rigs will be the same, because obviously I can't destroy the I can destroy the integrations. They are not mine, so I can't really touch that. It's too expensive. Too expensive to just destroy, you know. And it's my boss that we're talking about. Do not want to make my boss angry. I'll definitely be looking for a new corp if that happens. So, the DPS will be definitely really high if you have the DPS rigs and if you have the skills for the ship, but I'm still very happy with the DPS, with my skill of course, and I'm very happy with the tank. Now with the siege mode the DPS will definitely go up, but the tracking, the speed will go down, and that's the drawback of using siege. You have to have your target basically slow down as much as possible so that your reruns are able to hit them. Not really good against small ships, but should work really well against large ships like battleships, in some cases battlecruisers, dreadnought carriers, and tanky stuff like that. And well, the DPS is actually pretty good. Will be much higher if you have the DPS rigs and if you have the
Docking request
right
accepted.
skills for it. But with my current skills, this current DPS is pretty okay. If you want more tank, you can add more adaptives, which will give you a lot more buffer, and you will retain about the same DPS. We can also add some armor plates if you like. They are good if you want a lot more armor volume. Also works really well if you combine that with some armor plated general units, which can give you up to 25% extra armor per armor plate, and that in return gives you a lot more armor to work with, and it makes the ship a bit more harder to kill. So you really do have a lot of different ways on building this monster. But so far I have to say the navy ships are quite fun. Now for a PvE build you can do something like this. Now first I'll be running with one web and one scrammer, just to show you that you need at least 2 or 3 webs for PvE, because you don't want small ships to get too close to you. If they get too close to you and if you can't hit them, you might be in trouble. So for PvE you can go full DPS. Tank doesn't really matter too much. This is only a high sec PvE build. Don't use this build in low sec, it's a very bad idea. And DPS will be really good with the DPS rigs and with the right skills. I keep mentioning right skills because skilling into expert skills does take quite a while, and these ships really do take some time to skill into. I mean, for all 5 expert you have to wait like 60 days or something like that, I think. So in order to basically maximize the performance of these ships, you really have to put a lot of time into the skills. And I have to say I'm happy with that, because these are basically the first 8 ships that utilize the expert skills. Now I'll just put a wild guess on the super capitals. I guess that the super capitals, super carriers and titans will use the expert capital ship skills, and skilling into those will take a while. Skilling to those monsters will take a while. Quite curious to see what's the skill requirement for them. And yes, if you're asking me, will I be testing them? Oh, yes, I will. I will be testing that out, and honestly, kinda excited to see how they will work, and kinda excited how they will perform. Definitely going to do some Titan versus Titan stuff very soon. Well, I say very soon, when they decide to release the Titans and super carriers. I've heard the super carriers will arrive first or second week of June. That's what I've heard, but there's a good chance that I'm wrong at that. We will see. I mean, it's basically right around the corner, so we will definitely see when they are announced. I think we all know what are the 4 super carriers: Nyx, Aeon, Wyvern and Hell. Should be quite interesting to see how they work. They also seem to have unique special modes, and I kinda like that. I like that each one of these ships is unique. We need, I would say, a very big buff to the cruisers, to the new cruisers, but I believe that they are working on it. That's what I've heard, but we will see. So, this is a high-sec mission. Now, I'm not really sure if it's just me, but I feel like the siege mode on the normal strikers does cycle a bit faster. When I say cycle a bit faster, the main turrets, the blasters, seem to be firing a little bit slower with the navy ships. The siege mode on the classic striker battleships seems to be faster. I'm not really sure if they changed that recently. I haven't been flying a striker in a very long time, obviously, so I don't really know how accurate that is, but I'll be testing it out. Surprisingly, I don't have any striker battleship right now. I sold all of them. I even sold my old Apocalypse that I bought like 2 years ago. I felt very bad for selling it, but I skilled out of lasers, out of large lasers, because I swapped to railguns. But I think I'll be skilling back into the lasers at one point. Really depends on the situation, and it really depends on the ships. Now we know that they will be adding some special edition frigates and destroyers. Not really sure which ones. I mean, I can take a look at that on the EVE wiki just to see what we have. Okay, special edition destroyers. I got carried away. I really got carried away, unfortunately. Yeah, there are some. I can see what they'll be adding. Okay, a Thrasher. This could be fun. Quave Catalyst. Well, it's gonna be fun.
Drive active.
For sure. Well, I swapped back to the triple web setup because with one web, even with the nanocore, I wasn't really able to hit that. I wasn't really able to hit that one frigate. But now it should be better with triple webs and a scrambler, although that scrambler can be replaced with a Nosferatu, but I just prefer to use the scrambler just to make sure that I can hit most of the targets. Now my initial experience is that, I don't know, I feel like the Megathron striker does seem to have higher DPS, and it does seem to have a faster cycle time on the blasters, and that might be because of the skills. Can be because of the skills, but at the same time doesn't really have to be the case. However, one thing where the Navy where the navy is definitely much better and much superior than the striker, is the tank. The Megathron striker doesn't really have that much tank. You can technically make it tanky. I mean, I use the Megathron as a PvP ship only, the Megathron striker as a PvP ship only, and I use the thermal circulation on it. So far, it's been working well, although I haven't been using it in a very long time. However, I really enjoyed flying it, and I might do some PvP with it here and there. So that's one of the ships that I think I have to fly a little bit more often. But definitely the tank. The tank, as I mentioned before, is, I would say, the main selling point of the Navy battleships. They have the tank of a Marauder and they can have the DPS of a striker. Now, again, I've been asked, why would they release a Navy with Marauder stats? Well, I don't know. I mean, there have been some very weird decisions throughout the history of the game. So we kinda got them, but at the same time we didn't. It's a very very weird position, but so far I think these little ships they have been performing really well, honestly. Well, I say they have been performing really well. They did well, judging by the fact that I haven't died yet. That's good. Main issue would be the skills. But as I mentioned before, if you're already skilled into, let's say, railguns, and if you have maximum railgun skills, then it will not be a big problem to skill into the Navy battleships. But if you want to fly multiple, then you might have to spend some time reskilling, or you might have to spend some time waiting for the skills to be in their place to be able to fly the ship with the maximum possible stats. I mean, it's very nice to have all the skills on level 5 and have all the ship stats, ship bonuses unlocked. In my case, since I have a wide variety of weapons, I think for the Apocalypse Navy video I will skill back into some laser skills, large laser to be more accurate. We'll have to reskill. I mean, I should have a lot of I think it was called Lazarus points. I think I should have a lot of them. So it will not be a big issue to do that, I hope. And then after I do that, I have to return the old skills back in their place. So in the grand scale of things, I have a lot of work to do, and perhaps there's a good chance that the test server gets updated so that I can let my inspiration run wild, and I can basically run some very wild builds from cheap to expensive. I mean, I really love doing that. It gives a lot of options, a lot of ideas, and it shows what the boat can do, which is one of my goals, basically, to show what the ship can do, what it can and what it can't do. Forgot to speak for a second.
We're under attack. We're under attack.
For PvE, since you already have so much resistance, it's very easy to make this thing work for high-sec islands. You won't be taking much damage from anything, basically, because of the ridiculously high resistance you have. One adaptive is literally more than enough for PvE because of the high base resistance, and you have the thermal circulation implants. You can technically replace that one adaptive into another magnetic field stabilizer, and that's going to be giving you even more DPS. So there's honestly so many different ways on how to build this thing to work for PvE. In high sec, you don't need a lot of tank, but these things offer a lot of it, so it's honestly not going to be a big issue to farm ISK in high sec with these things. And I have been enjoying the DPS part of most of the ships that I use. Now, I forgot to talk about the ship pricing. The price currently is about 5.5 billion, 6 billion, and that is with those boxes being out. When the boxes go away, these ships will be a lot more expensive. Perhaps we're looking at anywhere near like 8 to 15 billion per hull, which is quite expensive for a Battleship, but they do offer some fantastic defense and some fantastic tanks, so it might be worth to save up and get them right now, or you can kind of invest in buying them, and then when the price goes back up, when the price skyrockets, then you can make a good profit by selling it. Now, I don't have a lot of ISK right now, kind of funny. Yeah, I know. The guy who flies a X-type Revelation has no ISK. Imagine my shock. I don't know. I don't really know if I will do that right now. Mostly because I just kind of don't feel like buying ships just to sell them. If I buy a ship, I'll fly them. However, I'll see what I'll do with my faction cruisers, with new ones. I bought 4 of them, and I have 4 of them. Perhaps I'll sell like 2 or 3 that I don't use. I still haven't decided on what to do with them, but it's a very valid option to buy the ships and then just sell them when the price goes back up. You can make a lot of ISK that way. That's what I've been told from players who are in the known, players who operate industry and who build these things. They also expect the price to go up. So I don't know. Perhaps could be a good tactic to make a lot of ISK when the price on these ships goes up. But so far, I have been enjoying this purple monster. I know, purple monster kind of sounds a little bit sus, not gonna lie. But yeah, this is a purple battleship. A pink or purple battleship, I don't know. Both combined. I don't know why. I still think I still don't know why they painted the ship in this way. I don't know. Perhaps they just like purple. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I just don't prefer to have bright colors on my ship. I usually prefer to have like darker colors. Green also does seem to work fine. I mean, I better not talk much. If my boss sees this, I might be in trouble. There's going to be one revelation looking for a new corp very, very soon. So I have to be careful not to make them angry. Okay, joke aside, they're gonna be rolling on the floor laughing if they watch this. They know that I'm joking around. So, my initial experience with the Megathron Navy, it's pretty good. Definitely one of the tankier Navy battleships. I would put it at the second place. The first place in terms of tank definitely goes to the Raven Navy. That thing is a brick. That thing is a monster. The tank on that thing is absolutely insane. The second place will probably go on the Megathron. Now the third place, that's going to be a bit more difficult to decide. I have to fly the Apocalypse Navy. Now the Apocalypse wasn't really known to be that tanky. It's known to have some very nice DPS and application. So So we will see how that will work, and good chance that the Tempest Navy will be second spot. Again, I have to do a lot of testing to decide on that. But with that being said, that was a very nice run with the Megathron Navy. Again, a very lovely ship. Big thanks to my friend and Corp CEO for allowing me to fly this ship. If you guys would like to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. It does help a lot. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and with that being said, I'll see you next time.